Hello, well, this is a Mwangi and this is the Journey Show. We've been talking about it over and over again. And just before I get into what I want to share with you today, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that whenever we have a new video coming up, you can be able to get that. And for those who have subscribed and leaving comments, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Well, you can tag a friend along and share with them this wonderful platform that, we get to exchange ideas and just general life, how it is. So, today I want to talk about time. It's very funny that it's not tangible yet. It affects all of us. You've had quotes from different sources, time is money, give time, so that you can heal. There's so much that has been spoken about time. But today what I want to focus on is on the pressure and the time frame that we've given ourselves. And I know we are all humans. It's not that we're going to be here forever, that I know. But it doesn't also mean that if you reach a certain age, you have failed to achieve certain things. Yeah. Now, right from when you're a toddler, when you're growing up, you find that there's a way the system works. I call it the world system. Generally, that is what it is. It is the world system that from this age to that age, you should have attained a certificate or something or a particular achievement in your life, which, well, it might be realistic, but to some extent, there are certain things we need to get right. When it comes to education, I know many people have different ideas on how to go about it, but it's good to have some education. At these rates at which we are evolving right now, you need to at least have learned something, of which I know you have. But besides that, you know, there are other people who will get their education maybe later on. They'll advance when it comes to maybe doing a degree, a master, a PhD. At certain age, you're not limited. And I know schools right now are opening to everybody. You've seen grandmas who've gone back to school and they're doing well. Yeah. So there's no like time frame for that. And I don't think somebody should be limited on how much you can attain. Now, the part that which really, really irritates me is the social part when it comes to timing. This whole pressure of you are supposed to have maybe settled down at in 20s or maybe have kids when you're in 30s. By the time you're at 40, especially for ladies, by the time you're at 40, it feels like the deal is done. There's nothing much left for you. Now, I beg to disagree because that is not just true. For as far as I can recall, that record is held by Sarah in the Bible. When you read the Bible, man, this lady had a baby when she was 90 years old. Now, until we can beat that record, then that chapter is still open. We cannot limit ourselves to that extent, and we cannot be putting pressure to people to that level. We are all different. Just in the same way, we all have different birth dates, even twins when they're being born. I mean, they don't just pop out the two of them at once, one after the other. So we all have our different time frames. There are people who go through life and they're content with whatever they have achieved. Probably they're not ready for a baby. Probably they're not ready to settle down, and they're okay. That's okay. That's fine. So this whole pressure of you meet probably a single friend somewhere and you're asking, what's happening? I mean, you have all the education, now you have a job, probably, yeah, you're living your best life. So what next? What next is being happy and being content. Even, I know, as you wait for the Lord, it might be a desire. Yes, you're desiring to get to that level where you can settle down with somebody, but should it be that pressurizing to a point that you cannot enjoy an ounce of happiness in your life just because the next level has not yet come? Having said that, there's also another social pressure that I get to see in Kenya. I don't know if other countries they experience it. I tend to believe yes, it is there. But currently, we've evolved the era of social media. Everything you want, you can search and find it. And I know there's some people who've come out to say these things we see on social media, some of them are fake, some of them are just, trying to push sales and get money out of it. And now the rate at which people are splashing money left, right, and center for the flashy, flashy weddings. Aha! My goodness, that thing has really pressurized many, many, many young ladies and gentlemen around. You've just left school, you've found the one, you're so excited, you're ready to settle down, but then the pressure that comes with it. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the way you see it on social media. Probably doesn't, you don't even need all that pomp and all that glamour, you know? And it sounds unbelievable. I know every girl will be like, but that's my dream. Let me tell you, it doesn't have to be so. But don't misquote me. If you got the money, well, you do you. Enjoy your day. But if you don't have it, let it not be a reason as to why you cannot go ahead and settle down just because you feel in a certain way that some other people are doing it this way. So I must do it this way. In life, there's nothing like must, you know, there's no pressure in copying what the other person is doing. Get yourself together. Is this going to work for you? Are you ready for the next step? Are you excited for the next step? Well, I know where I fellowship, it's not even once or twice that our pastors mentioned this, but he keeps on saying, if you are ready to settle down and you know it in your heart and you have your spouse, your partner, and you're ready to go ahead, just go for the blessings, get the rings, go for the blessings. And of course, in Kenya, you know the laws, you have to go to the Attorney General's office and all that, get the certificate. That's the bare minimum, if you can do that and maybe get and also not maybe also get the blessings of your families or the guardians involved, that is the best step you can have. No pressure in having 300,000 Kenya shillings for you to feed people and then later on go back home, get into debts, and you don't know how to go about it. Having spoken about that social pressure, it is not nice. And I know we do it unknowingly or knowingly when we try to, strike a conversation with our fellow peers or friends. We kind of push them and ask, so when are you going to do this thing? And when they tell you they're ready, you're like, I know the best deco. This is what you're supposed to get. This is what. No, 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 no. Calm down. First things first. If they're set, give that bare minimum advice. Let them get the blessings of the guardians or parents. Let them go to the Attorney General. Then from there, then come to the church, get your blessings. You're ready to go. No pressure. If you have it, do you. We celebrate you. Kudos. If you don't have it, still let it not hold you back. Another pressure that comes with time is, when are you going to settle down? Oh my goodness. And I must say, we all do it unknowingly. And to my friends who are following, well, apologies to you on behalf of everybody who keeps asking, when are you settling down? We need to realize that in this time and age, people have different priorities. There are people who prioritize going back to school. There are people who prioritize, once they're done with education, get a good job. They want to do something for their society, help their parents, educate their siblings. There are people who prioritize being alone. Up until now, social media has done a great deal in creating a certain level of exposure. And you get to realize that those people who are just content. Yeah. So before you get to the point of asking somebody, when are you going to settle down? At least get to know them really well. If they haven't discussed that issue with you, then it's not up to you to keep asking that question. But if they bring it up to you and say, I think I'm ready, I'm praying for the right partner, or I've found somebody, but we are waiting for everything to fall in place, then that point, you can, pray for them and also keep encouraging them as you inquire, well, so how's the progress? How are you guys coming along? But before then, let's not put that pressure on people. That is one thing that has really, it hurts. I've heard it from different friends. It hurts. So we might or should drop it in that matter. Yeah. And then there's so much that we still have to talk about. I'm going to take just a short break. And when I get back, I'll be sharing with you something else in the social status where time has really played a big part. And we need to take a sit back and let people breathe. Now, before I let you go, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, share it with a friend, and I really, really appreciate your efforts.
You're watching The Journey Show with Achieng Mwangi.
Welcome back, and this is The Journey Show with me, Achieng Mwangi. Now, I have been sharing with you time in the essence of it being a huge factor in our lives, but we need to pump some brakes when it comes to how we push it on people. Well, before I go too far, don't forget, you're going to share this message with a friend. So subscribe, you can as well as, share the link with them so that we can learn a thing or two as we go through the journey. Yes, this is a journey show and we are taking it to the next level. I'll be coming for you in just a jiffy for that. Anyway, speaking of time, the other thing that I want to share with you when it comes to time is when having a baby. Now, thanks again to the exposure that we're having. Back then, people never used to talk about these things. Back then, people just assumed when you're going through a crisis, it's just you, yourself, and you. But then, due to the exposure that we have, we've come a long way in terms of even knowing certain situations that way back then we thought was as a result of witchcraft. It's just a medical issue, really. You could as well as just go to the doctors, they check out what's happening, and you're good to go. Now, when it comes to the time of having a child, every time people go through premarital counseling, something that I feel should be really, really, really spoken about during that time is any marriage is complete. Just the two of you. It is complete. I know when it comes to that point when people have already settled down, the pressure of asking, when are you guys going to have a baby? When you see a lady looking in a certain way, or they're having a mood swing, or they're eating a lot of, sweet stuff or sour things, you start asking, could it be? But the reality is the pressure that we put ourselves in, or our friends or the people around us, when we keep asking, when are you going to have a baby? It's just too much. And it's hurtful, by the way. I know of some people who would really smile just to brush you off maybe and say, not yet ready, or, we're just waiting. But when they go back home, they really cry so much because of that pressure. So it is something that we need to learn. For some people, it just doesn't happen. Well, for some, it happens, but it takes quite some time. We need to give people time, really. Isn't that ironic when we use time to pressure people and yet we still need to give them time? So we need to pump our brakes on this one as well. Be gracious enough. If somebody comes up to you and say, well, this is a prayer item that I'm believing God for, well and good. You put it in, you take it up in prayer, but you don't keep pressuring or asking, why are you taking so much time? Why are you waiting for, it's not like it's our own doing. Certain things we tend to imagine, we can craft them. It's not like the way we take clay and mold it into something and then that's it. Certain things are beyond our limits. And that is why we take it up in prayer. And I'm so glad that even when the Bible says that children are a blessing from God, then we need to understand. It's not that something we can just now wake up one morning and decide, you know what, today, yes, I'm going to have that baby. It doesn't work like that. So we need to be kind enough to and be gracious enough and let people be. if they've told you or they've spoken about it, or probably you perceive in your spirit that maybe this is something they need, the best you can do is pray with them, pray for them, and encourage them should they open up to you. But if they don't, it is none of your business, and you're going to keep it out of your mouth, because that is not the pressure we're going to be giving one another. And we need to let it go. Now, as I wind up, speaking of time, it's so funny when you see a baby, you tend to think they have a whole lot of many years in front of them. You know, it's our desire. It's our desire to grow old. And at times when you're not in touch with the reality, you tend to forget this is the person you're going to have forever. But the reality is we ain't going to be staying around forever. But I'm not saying that to scare you. No, no, no. So, whatever you do when it comes to socializing, interacting with people, or even how you deal with people who you meet in your day-to-day life, be gracious enough. Be kind. And I'm not saying that now you let yourself go to an extent where people walk on you or they can just rubbish you aside. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. Be kind to people. You never know. Time is very funny. Today you're up, tomorrow you don't know where you're going to be. And it all comes to how we interact with one another. Right now, what is happening, and I know you've definitely seen this in this era of social media, many people are sharing, we've gotten back to an era of me. It has to be to do with me. If I'm not happy with how you treat me, I'm going to drop you. If you're not adding value to my life, I don't need you. If you're not bringing this to the table, then I don't think we should interact with one another. Okay, I agree, we are doing away with all the toxic people, we are doing away with all these things, we are building ourselves, we are nurturing ourselves, it's in the era of self-love and all that. But what happened to making the effort, creating the effort, going to the next level? And I'm not, kindly don't misquote me. If it has to do with somebody who is toxic, you're free. Drop them. I mean, drop them like a call of fire. Drop them. Yeah? Because you don't also want to be taking medicine all in the name of, you're clinging on to these people and yet they don't need you. I believe you apply wisdom when it comes to this matter. But what I'm challenging you to do is take the next step. Right now in Kenya, I know many people are going through a whole lot of stuff. The economy is high, things are it feels like it's haywire. And we've closed ourselves in little cocoons of, if I see you in social media, my friend, you're doing well, that's okay. But the reality is, take a step, check on one another, reach out. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you're chipping in with an extra coin or something. Not really. Just knowing, how is this person doing mentally? How are they holding up? Is everything okay? Are the babies doing well? Are the families, reach out to those people who matter to you. And I know there's also that pressure of, if they don't involve you, don't get concerned. There's so much that people speak about, all in the name of motivation, really. But at the end of the day, does it really work for you? You've got a friend who you've come a long way, then all of a sudden they went under, you're not in touch anymore, and then you conclude by yourself, well, every man for himself out here. We need to be kind and gracious enough, and of course, applying wisdom, top-notch wisdom, yeah, in filtering that does not work for us, but also being our brother's keeper, upholding that love, going the extra mile. Because, like I said, time is very funny, and we don't get it that much as we think. Once you hear of a demise of a friend, it could be sad, but then that is the end of it. You start seeing people quoting, oh, I wish I would have reached out. I wish I would have done this. Then, my challenge for you is, stop wishing. Do it. If you're dropping people who don't really add value to you, and yes, having the wisdom and also taking the necessary steps, go ahead, do what's right for you. But also, let us not burn bridges just in the name of me, myself, and I. Thank you so much for keeping it here on the Journey Show with me, Achieng Mwangi. So much more to come. Don't forget to subscribe. Drop a comment if there's something you feel like time has done a hand on you. I'll be ready to, chat back. Let's keep this conversation going offline as well. And don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you and see you next time.
The Journey Show with Achieng Mwangi.